Today is Sunday, June 7th. Friday, I had the misfortune of falling backwards. I slipped on some cardboard boxes and I broke both of my wrists. Today's the first day I've been able to hold my phone, so I've been putting off doing any garden tours because I've had so much work to do, and then I was actually going to do a tour on Friday and then I fell. And so, like I said, today's the first day I can hold my phone, and while it's really not a priority for me to make a video, I walked down to the garden today and everything's popping. So before we miss all of it, I'm going to do a quick tour of what I got going this year. Okay, so I'm up here on the deck, and I just want to show you that I still have so much work going on. I just transplanted some tomatoes. I've got cilantro going. I'm not going to go through all of this. This is Molly's microgreens. She's growing some sunflowers, and she'll eat those little leaves as they pop up. And I just got some little projecty stuff up here. This year my green stock grow tower is just going to have herbs in it and beans. So the whole bottom rack is going to be beans. I've got a whole level dedicated to basil because you can never get enough basil. And just some things that I haven't gotten done yet. I don't know how I'm going to get them done, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully in a few more days I should be able to use my hands a little bit more. I had some extra space this year because there were some bushes in here we ended up taking out when we painted the house last year. So I've got this little garden bed, and I threw some okra in there, 6 of them. Rabbits ate 3 before we put up this little fence, which is not going to stay. This is temporary. I'd rather have something ornamental here. And then this is the rhubarb, and it's doing really well. I haven't harvested any of it yet. That was another thing I was going to get done over the next couple days and won't be able to because of my hands. This is where we tore out all that rock and lilac bushes, and we put some sod down, so that project is finally done. If you remember, I had those rescue tomatoes kind of growing along here and along here too, where all that mulch is, so I gotta clean that up too. Here are the currant bushes, and you can see we're going to have lots of currants this year. Look at this one, it's just loaded with them. Every single branch has just got a ton of currants on them. So hopefully I can find a good recipe and do something with those. This garden bed I've been talking about for a couple of years, getting rid of it, and we've torn out everything but the peonies, and I will tear that out after they've bloomed. And here they go. Just today they've started to open up. Got one just starting to open up here. I'm so happy to see them. We do have another bird in the little birdhouse here. Again, I think it's just a sparrow. But this garden is going to be gone this year. As part of my negotiation with Craig, I told him I would take out this garden if he would help me expand my garden this year. And boy, did we expand. And I like the new layout, but I also think that I've lost a little bit of character because we've put it all in rows instead. Eli's helping put the bean trellis up because I can't, and Caitlin is working on transplanting a sunflower for me that's been growing in a pot. This year I built a row cover frame for my greens, so I've got lots of greens growing in there, and we'll go through some more of it the next time I do a tour. This row has beans in the back, then a few varieties of peppers. I poked in some beets in there, and then the onions. This row is just Roma tomatoes, so they'll be my sauce and salsa tomatoes. And then I have about, I think I tried 17 varieties of tomatoes this year, so they're growing along these 2 cattle panels, and these will all get pretty big. They're all indeterminate tomatoes, so they'll get nice and tall. over here, I've got 3 cattle panel trellises over this kind of U-shaped garden. In the back, I have asparagus that's blowing in the breeze there. A couple of different kind of melons and squash, and then we're trying 4 varieties of pickling cucumbers this year to decide what we like the best. You can see that everything is kind of yellowed. It should have had a shot of fertilizer a couple of days ago, and I haven't been able to do that because of my hands. And then we did get a rainstorm last night. Today's going to be too hot to do anything, but maybe by tonight I can get some fertilizer on it. Let's see. I started, so on the front of this bed, I've kind of got a vision of this being all, you know, pretty cutting flowers and just ornamental flowers. There's a couple of vines growing in here. But I also stuck in, you know, anywhere I had a spot, I stuck in some, you know, some cosmos. I think I might have actually a marigold right there, and zinnias too. So these are a couple of rescue peonies. I thought I'd try to rescue from that old garden. They never really, this clump never really grew well over there, so I thought I'd just transplant it now because, I don't know, I figured they would maybe die anyway. Over here, Molly, we got some milkweed from the neighbor, so we just plucked those in the ground the other day, and then Molly started building a, on her own, she built a caterpillar habitat, so that's why we've got all these sticks in here. These irises were rescued from that garden that we're getting rid of in the back of the yard. This is bee balm that I got as a trade last year for some of my tomato plants. And here's where I just kind of poked in some cosmos and some zinnias. This is a, I forget what this is, and I don't even know if I can get to the tag without my hands, but it's a viney. It's a clematis. So I'm hoping that it will vine all along the front of this garden. And this one's pink. I bought this one too, and this one's red. I did these 2 plants I bought. Most of the other ones I either grew from seed or just had in my yard. This iris bloomed already. It's not doing great, but I didn't expect it to because I was kind of rough with it. This is Molly's fairy garden. We, on a whim one day, stopped, just she and I, at a garden store and got a couple little plants, and she took it upon herself to just do this fairy garden, and she did an amazing job. I did, she did a really good job to begin with, but I did come back and spread some things out for her, and replant a couple things because the soil under here wasn't good, so I just tucked in some good soil for her. And that's my penstemon, and I got that out of my other garden that's going too. I potted up a separate kale outside of the fence this year because the neighbor kids all love it, so this will be the kids' kale. A couple of potato plants. This one grew almost entirely in my basement, and I think it's dead or dying or something wrong with it. I don't think it's going to give me any potatoes, but I think part of it is that I'm using this fabric pot and I just can't keep it watered. But these 2 potato plants are doing well, and I still have more seed potatoes that I could do that too. This bush in front of our bedroom window, I think it's called viola or something, but it blooms really pretty in the springtime. I've caught some hummingbirds in here. You just saw a bumblebee, maybe. Yeah, it's bumblebee flying around in there. This probably should have all been split this year. There's a bunch of hostas and lily of the valley in here, and you can see my pink bleeding heart is already done blooming for the year. You wouldn't even know that there's a sedum under there. Some astilbe. My white bleeding heart is still going. Looks like there's maybe a lily right there. Hopefully it's not a weed. I've got a hollyhock growing back there. I really like this variegated hosta. But then I also planted this year this little hosta, and it's called a filigree, and actually it's a white hosta. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one does, and hope that it's prolific so I can get more off of it in future years. Over here I'm doing a little bit of experiment. I've never really done well growing dill, and I think it's because I haven't had a dedicated spot for it. And I don't know that this is a good dedicated spot either. I do, because it doesn't get a ton of sun, but I thought I'd give it a shot since I just had this empty bed. We had some bushes in here that died off after a polar vortex a couple of years ago. I do have some dill in the garden, but we'll see if it comes up in here too. My plant sale is coming to an end. I did sell a couple hundred plants, I think. And now that I don't have hands, I can't really care for these, so I'm either going to have to compost them or give them away. Hopefully I can give them away. There's, I don't know, probably 50 tomato plants still, and plenty of kale. I think I can plug a few kales into my garden still. I think I can squeeze them in, and I would have loved to dig a patch for some rescue tomatoes too, but unfortunately I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Look at that, another guy. Up front here, I'm gonna have Eli finish up this job for me. Just finishing mulching this. I started all of my dahlias inside this year, and so I've already got one blooming. They're all at a good size already. These are just cosmos and zinnias and I think a couple of marigolds that I plugged in here, so Eli's going to come in and mulch those. And those are my stargazer lilies. Those are my favorite when they bloom. They're awesome. This is a hollyhock that I rescued from the backyard. I didn't think it would come up, but sure enough, there it is. And then more dahlias. This is an azalea I got 3 years ago. Last year I got nothing off of it at all, so I was fully prepared to put that in the trash this year. And then I got some growth off of it, so I actually dug it up because I think it was buried a little bit too deep. I dug it up and planted it back in. I don't think I'll keep it. I think I'm going to move those peonies from the backyard and put them here. See, I already moved a little chunk of them. That probably won't survive, but that's what I put there. So I don't know if this is going to do anything, but I think that one's going away this year. Oh, and one more thing, we're also working on Operation Lawn Repair this year because we have not been taking care of our lawn because we've put so much work into the garden that we had a lot of dead spots. So this was all dead, it's coming back. That's all sodded. This was all dead and it's coming back now. And then we also have always had water back here. When it rains, it would flood out back here. So we, with much help from our neighbors, dug some drain tile in here. And so we're really hoping that makes a big difference for water in our yard. And we'll have to come back here and start taking care of the grass too. So that's it. I only have the muscle power to do a short video, but I wanted to capture some of those things that are just starting to open up and do well. And then this is going to be a tough year, obviously, for me, for caring for the garden. You know, we're going to be due for pruning here soon. Craig's going to really have to pitch in and help. Eli will have to pitch in and help. You know, you set up a garden and you're in for a lot of work for the rest of the season. And I will probably be very much out of commission, I guess, for 6 weeks maybe, which is probably the most intense period for gardening, especially with all the different tomatoes I have now that I have to prune and care for, and the things I just haven't gotten planted yet. So wish me luck. We'll see you next time.